Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are into that world. This is part two. Said that we got cut off, but when you see certain people, you gotta engage. You see what I'm saying? You gotta plant those seeds early and take care, water it, make sure it's getting everything that's required, that's necessary for anything to grow. For anything to grow, you gotta care for it. You gotta feed it. Yeah. And then everything else will come after. Back to you, 70-fold. 70-fold. And why I believe that? That's why I like referring to the numbers. Because when I look at it from a BitHarvest perspective, with the 70-fold, I'm about to earn more than what I'm currently making a year. And when you put that number, that's 70-fold, to what I currently make, it's like wow. I probably net about, what is it? Maybe 59K, and that's because of inflation. I mean, the pay scale says one thing. The pay scale says one thing, but by the time you put inflation on it, oh man, your purchasing power, what you're able to purchase, your purchasing power is like, it's less. For example, you could be earning 70,000 a year, but your purchasing power is not 70,000. Your purchasing power is like 50,000. So it's like you're being taxed twice. But the tax, the second tax that I just mentioned, the inflation tax that we are enduring, and it's going to be worse. It's going to get worse. Where if your paycheck still says 70,000 a year, but then your purchasing power now becomes that of 40,000. And a day like that is coming. But guess what? You could equalize that entire scenario by positioning yourself with BitHarvest and acquiring satoshis on a daily basis and building up your stockpile. Because the price, right, of Bitcoin will increase more rapidly than the rate of inflation. So if you need to acquire things or purchase things to steady yourself, then that's what the Bitcoin is there for. It's there as a flotation device so that you don't drown in this financial game. Because it is a game, but you gotta know the rules of the game. And once you know the rules of the game and you play accordingly, I'm not saying that, oh, the game's easy and people play fair, because people don't even play fair in children games. People don't play fair in checkers. People don't play fair when you're playing cards. When nothing is at stake, people don't even play fair. So if people in this world don't play fair when there's nothing at stake, how much more will they not play fair when they feel that something is at stake, regardless of whether you see it or not? Now, you look at that, what I just said, whether you see it or not, whether you believe it or not, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is still being acquired by certain countries. It's still being acquired daily by MicroStrategy, by BlackRock, by MetaPlanet. Every day, a new entity is looking to put Bitcoin on its balance sheet, meaning to allocate a certain percentage of their assets into Bitcoin. And it has been said, or the question has been asked, what would happen if, for example, Microsoft, which is due to have their meeting, and I could be wrong on this, but you can fact check me. I believe Michael Saylor is supposed to be the keynote speaker of the meeting, of the Microsoft meeting, for the shareholders. So Michael Saylor is going to speak to the shareholders of Microsoft and talk to them and explain to them why that they will benefit from Microsoft itself allocating 5% or whatever percentage, right, through Bitcoin. And I'm pretty sure he would do something where he would probably show them what he's doing, or maybe invest, or maybe plant the seed where they would tell Microsoft, hey, buy the MicroStrategy stocks, i.e. MSTR and MSTY. He could do that. That's major. That would be big. That's because they would with that instrument, they'll still be backing MicroStrategy and giving money to MicroStrategy, whereby MicroStrategy is just gonna take the excess cash and buy more Bitcoin with it. Like what Michael Saylor has done is that he's created a vehicle that people like Warren Buffett will utilize. I will see, we're gonna see the Berkshire Hathaways acquire MicroStrategy stock. They probably won't look to get the Bitcoin themselves. This is a possibility, right? It's possible. They won't look to get it themselves. Why reinvent the wheel? If he's already figured it out, he's already doing it, companies are more likely to buy the MicroStrategy stock than to than to go out and try to buy the Bitcoin. Because it'll be a safer play. But all of that will still be good for Bitcoin because we could see that Michael Saylor's plan alone is going to drive up the price of Bitcoin and hold the floor. And hold the floor. Because you see, when Michael Saylor talks about Bitcoin going to 10 million at in 10 years, he's telling you that, right? He's saying that, and that's based on numbers. That's based on his numbers. But hey, I've heard a whole different figure and amount that makes that 10 million look like nothing, right? And we're talking about in the next 10 years. That 10 million is nothing compared to, what I heard, meaning the amount of, 10 billion for one Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to do what gold should have done. How about this? Bitcoin has already surpassed where the price of gold should be, right? Shouldn't gold be at $50,000 an ounce right now? If gold wasn't suppressed, where did we find this information? We find this information on the world debt clock, right? The U.S. debt clock. So, hey, even the world debt. So you got the U.S. debt, but you also have the world debt. Now you have here you have an asset like Bitcoin, and now not only is the U.S. debt looking at Bitcoin, but you got the world, and the world are already doing it. It's already going in to Bitcoin. See, the price of gold is suppressed, but no government can suppress the price of Bitcoin. That's why they're trying to get it for themselves. They realize that Bitcoin's price cannot be manipulated through their paper game. Bitcoin busts through the paper game. That's right. Bitcoin is the digital scissors. Remember paper, rock, scissors? Paper beats rock. Paper beats rock. But scissors cuts paper. And Bitcoin is the digital scissors in the financial game. So in my last video, I was talking about having certain mentalities. I talked about the Asian mentality, thinking out 100 years. And I brought it back home to where we have a saying, where I'm from, where the billionaires play. Stick to the wicket and the runs will come. Well, I'm going to add another one. And that is the mindset of Warren Buffett. So when you look into Warren Buffett and how he views things, how he even looks at certain companies, right? It's not always, it's not a whole bunch, right? It's not a whole bunch of stock that he owns. He owns one stock, which is the Berkshire Hathaway stock. But the Berkshire Hathaway, he uses the Berkshire Hathaway to then purchase or acquire companies, right? To be shareholders in that company. So Warren Buffett will still earn Berkshire Hathaway, but use Berkshire Hathaway to invest in micro strategy, to allocate something in micro strategy, especially because the United States is doing it. You know what I'm saying? Especially if his home, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Warren Buffett already has an allocation in a Bitcoin company already, or even has shares. Well, his probably his probably involved with the ETF, meaning the Berkshire Hathaway has probably put some of the portfolio in the Bitcoin ETF through BlackRock. You see what I'm saying? But one, but with all the different options that's out there for Bitcoin, you have actual options. Like you could trade options with Bitcoin, and the more of this type of activity that continues, then we gotta remember the more that the exchanges or the trading platforms that want to do this, right? The platforms that want to trade options over Bitcoin, they actually have to have the actual Bitcoin in order to do it, to trade the option, or for people to trade options, right? So in order for Fidelity to offer you an allocation of Bitcoin in your portfolio, right? They actually have to have the Bitcoin. So Fidelity is another one. Fidelity is another company that's buying Bitcoin. One of the first companies that was putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Yeah, one of the first. That's massive. That's something major. You may want to look at that. Look into it. But yeah, imagine having the mindset out of Warren Buffett, really having one thing. And now I'm going to bring it back. The one thing is Bitcoin, and we acquire Bitcoin through BitHarvest. That's the one thing. And what we do is that we continue to reinvest, right? When the wealth starts to come, and we start seeing 1 million, 10 million, well, now we can invest back into BitHarvest. We could get 10 boosters, or some of us already 100 boosters, depending on where you're at. But let's just say, and now, when your cash flow goes up, now you have 10 boosters. And if you got 10 boosters and you're going up to $400, and your $4 a day went to 400 a day, well, when you got 10 boosters, now you're generating 4,000 a day with 10 boosters. It's something to think about. It's a sequence. And yes, can you imagine yourself, right? Can you imagine yourself earning that level, that that amount of assets a day? Because you're talking about what people generate uh, in a month's time. It'll take some people a whole month to generate that amount. That's right. It'll take them a whole month to generate that amount. But in the future, we will be generating that on a daily. That's the type of freedom that we all are going to have access to in the future. And it's always good to look, to be forward thinking. Because, like I said, if the Asian community could see 100, why can't we, you know, why can't we over here, over the West, do the same thing for us? Because we need to unlearn the programming. We need to unlearn uh, this instant gratification way of doing things, because it's not serving us. And figure out how we can move ourselves forward in a way where our generation, the generation that comes after us, will reap the reward. Or let's just say we leave when we leave this world, we'll leave it in a better condition and foundation and place and state. And that is one of the few things that I'm grateful for with this opportunity with BitHarvest, because we're positioned and we're thinking in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years out. 20 years from now, I'll just be in my 60s. What do you think the price of goods and services and healthcare is going to be? While I'm healthy right now, do I need $4,000 a month or a day? Maybe I could definitely use an extra $4,000 a month. But like I said, that's going to come within the first 6 months for me. An extra $4,000 is coming for me at the end of 6 months when Bitcoin goes to $500,000. That'll be a good, decent amount of financial freedom. I'll have an extra $4,000. Bang. Right there. And guess what? And the difference between my opportunity and someone who says, yeah, I'm just getting body crypto, if something happens and you utilize that, that's it. That's going. That's going. But when I spend $4,000, but when I spend the $4,000, I'm getting it back the next day, because the assets that I have that I've yielded is at 4,000 a day. This is where we get to the Donald Trump numbers, the multi-millionaire numbers, where you want to be making hundreds of dollars by the minute eventually, passive. And that is going to come with BitHarvest. And you won't need a lot. You won't need hundreds of thousands of BitBoosters. Yes, you could do it. You could do that if you wanted to. You could do that right now. You can get $100,000. You can get 100,000 BitBoosters if you wanted to. Right? You can get 1,000 BitBoosters if you wanted to. If you want to get 10,000, you could do that. If you're that big in crypto, if you're that big in the crypto space, if you're looking for somewhere to park your money, right, so that your assets can generate money for you, consider putting your crypto earnings into an income-producing asset, which is the BitBooster. And with that, see, when people figure out that, because even the crypto space, money is going to flow out of the crypto space and into Bitcoin. And BitHarvest is going to be one of those entities So it's either you get involved now, or somebody that you know is probably gonna get involved, and glad that they did. They're gonna be glad that they moved some of the crypto into an income producing asset like BitHarvest. Don't think it's not happening right now already. People are already doing it. Why do you think the crypto market is crashing? Some people are taking their earnings and they're selling, and they're getting into projects like BitHarvest, because you could come in with the Ethereum tether, you could come in with the Tron tether, or you could come in with the BNB tether. So people are trading the crypto, right? Getting into dollars. You come over into this project, boom. But wait a second, there's another piece. There's another piece to the pie, and that is the BitHarvest token. You see, we're almost halfway there. When I started with 30 cents, it's getting real close to that 50-cent mark. And when the BitHarvest token reaches $1, when the BitHarvest token reaches $1, we are going to be mining that token. So we're going to be mining two tokens from the same asset. You know how beautiful that's going to be? And that's where the money is going to flow. Oh, did I forget to mention the BitHarvest card? That's why I said spend your crypto. What's the crypto that we're going to be spending? The BitHarvest token. So we'll be able to save. So we're going to have an asset that we're going to be saving, and we're going to have an asset that we're going to be spending, which is the BitHarvest token. And the fact that we're already set up the BitHarvest, we're going to be mining a certain amount of tokens every day. And we'll have the opportunity to sell them onto the open market, or we just keep them, hold on to our card. You know why the card's coming out now? Because when that token reaches $1, the card is going to act like a savings account. So the value of the BitHarvest token is going to increase, because the demand is going to be high. The demand for the BitHarvest, because it's going to be on exchanges. It's going to go to exchanges when it reaches $1, and it's going to start trading. But when we start mining, right? And of course, we're gonna see it go down to 10 cents, right, on the exchanges. But guess what? But just like BitHarvest, we're going to be mining a certain amount of BitHarvest tokens a day, and it's going to have the same principles as Bitcoin. So we're going to be mining. So we're going to have the opportunity to be mining the BitHarvest token daily, and then when it reaches back up to $1, we would have accumulated thousands of BitHarvest coins a day when it goes back up to $1. Once the trading goes up to $1, and guess what? And when we spend it, right? When we spend it, yeah. But only so much is going to be mined. And even with the BitHarvest token, there's only so much that's going to be in circulation. It's going to be only so much. So the question is, ladies and gentlemen, what are you going to do? Where are you going to be? When the bull run hits. I'm just thankful to be positioned with BitHarvest. Consider opening up your BitHarvest account. Get active. Get active. Just like how, we're active in life, get active with your account with BitHarvest. Because if it's not moving, it's not living. Stay tuned. Brasa.